Okay guys, not a lot going on today. Pretty much been mowing grass and keeping stuff up around here, but we are going to put this M62 TU back together. So what we're going to do, or what we've already done I should say, we've already reassembled the timing chain covers, and we use the metal gaskets. I don't know if you can see here or not. Not really. I think the metal ones are right there. You can't really see it in the picture, but we've used the gaskets to put sealer on both sides, a very thin layer, and went ahead and put these covers back on. The lower cover first, and we do have the oil pan off of this thing at this point, and that needed to be resealed anyway. So pulled it off, got it out of here. That way I can put the lower timing chain guide on, cover on easier. Now, when you guys are doing this in the car, you don't have to take the oil pan off. You can just clean it, and just beware when you're doing these jobs. There is, was it 4 or 6 bolts go up into the bottom of the timing chain case from the oil pan. So at this point, we torqued everything to 10 foot-pounds, all the 10mm bolts. It's supposed to be 7 foot-pounds, but since we're using extension to get to some of these other ones, we didn't set it at 10. I figured that was about the amount the extension was going to take out of it. Everything torqued down real good, no problems at all. On the middle case, I went kind of from the center out and tightened everything up. I went in and did the 13mm in the bottom here at 10 also. I don't really see much need for those to be a lot tighter. A lot of you guys might notice on this upper cover where the chain tensioners at, I had a zip tie holding that chain tight. So whenever I took the timing tensioner tool off, it was still holding the timing chain guide. Now, what you don't want to do, and I already mentioned this in the last video on this engine, you do not want to let that guide fall down. You always want to keep some tension on it. Right now, it's up here, right there, and it's laying against the case. That's fine. What's going to happen, especially when you're doing this in the car, it's a little bit tricky. If you let that guide fall down, you're going to jump a tooth on the bottom sprocket. Your timing jaw is going to be all screwed up. It's going to be a tooth off. So even though you did everything all right, if you let that fall down, that slips one tooth on the bottom, you're screwed. One tooth on this engine, the way it slips is not enough to crash the valves into pistons, but it is enough to make it run like crap and have a permanent check engine light. So we're going to do this point. We're going to come over here and we're going to put all the 10mm nuts on these guys. We're going to go and torque those down. I'll do those at 10 also. And at that point in time, we're going to come over here. We're going to put the alternator back in. We're going to go over here on the side. We're going to put the engine mount bracket back on. And then we're going to come back over here on this side and put this one back on. So we're going to go ahead and do that right now. We'll be back here in a second. Okay, so here we are. We got the alternator back on, guys. There is a double notch up here with the little Torx bit. And that matches up to that. So your plugins are going to be in it facing towards the crank pulley. So at this point, we cleaned the alternator. Doesn't look perfectly clean, but we ran through the parts washer without submerging it too much. Made sure the oil ring behind there was all good and clean. We torqued all these down to 10 foot-pounds. And then we're going to go ahead and do these up here. We're going to go ahead and use the socket included with the kit. I need to look at the torque specs real quick, and then we'll go ahead and install the little 2-bolt flange right here. Install that on there like that. We'll also torque these at 10 foot-pounds. Okay, guys, so here we are. We're going to go ahead and torque these at 18 foot-pounds, the solenoids themselves, and then we're going to install, like I just said, the 2-bolt flange, the little covers to go over those. Remember, don't install the crankshaft pulley until you put your water pump on, because this bolt right here is hard as hell to get to with the crankshaft pulley on. So we're going to go ahead and clean this gasket surface, torque these down, install these, and then we'll get our good water pump and get it ready to put on, and we'll come back. Okay, so we got the water pump on. Now, I had these knock sensors out, right, down in there. These two are still out. Usually I don't take those out, or if I do, I put them right back in. This thing's on the engine stand, you know, it's sitting here, so I almost forgot to put them back in. I went ahead and put a little RTV, or not RTV, but the import gray, back here. It's a very thin coat all the way around. and I cleaned the O-rings inside there, slipped it in, and actually right before I slid those in, I realized these were out, and I put those back in, because with the tube in there, you cannot get to those two bolts. So anyway, did that, did the same thing on the front, and what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to slide the pipes in the back cross pipe first. You're going to let them stick out a little bit. You're going to want to smear on a little bit of stuff around this pipe and this pipe also, and then you're going to go ahead and clean the water pump mating surface, obviously. And then you're going to go ahead and put the water pump and hook it onto the pipes as you're sliding it in. So go ahead and slide it in, and you can see right here. Go ahead and get the bolts in it, and you just want to finger tighten all of them until you get them all in. There's quite a few of them. And then torque all those down to 10 foot-pounds. I started with the middle bolts and went to the outside. And then after that, we installed our crank pulley. And that's pretty much it for right now. We're going to go ahead and put on all these little guys, all those 10mm nuts. And then we're going to go ahead and put on the motor mounts on each side. Okay guys, so this is about as far as we're going to go for tonight. We got the water pump all done. We got the solenoids torqued down. We got the alternator put in. The crank pulley put on. We're going to put the engine mount that holds the engine mount / AC pump bracket. I put him in. Ran all that stuff to the parts washer. This thing's still a little dirty. Didn't get all of it out, but we're not going for, you know, something you can eat off of. We just want to make it clean enough where it looks good. And we bolted haul him back in. Now down here is where we're going to put the oil filter housing. I still need to wash him in the parts washer, and he'll be done. Now let me explain something to you also. This water pump, this was on the old engine. They just put it on there. I didn't wash it or anything. It's, you know, got some greasy fingerprints on it, but on the inside it looks perfect. I mean, it's just as clean could be. And I mean, it looked like it was literally brand new, and they even said it was brand new. So we're going to go and run with this one. The other one, the bearing was going out. Ordinarily, when you guys take these apart, you're going to want to replace the water pump, and you also want to look at the water pump pulley very carefully. It is plastic. You want to make sure there's no cracks in it. Of course, we installed our other knock sensors up here, and if you saw the last video, we did reseal the valley pan gasket, and we got our tubes locked in, all sealed in, so they're not going to leak. We have all of our little oil jacket bolts here. There's 10s, have them all torqued down to about 10 foot-pounds each on both sides. We have oil left over down in here. We're going to change the plugs in anyway. We'll wipe all that out. Now, this engine had 123,000 miles on it. It still ran and drove fine. This is from the donor car. It's from a 540. It had no problems at all. You know, I checked the timing chain guides. We didn't put any timing chain guides in it. We had to pull all this stuff off and pull the timing chain off, if you remember, to change the oil pump chain right there. And because that is a different length when you change engines from a 540 to X5. Something to remember for you guys that have a blown up X5 or a 540, you have to switch all that stuff out. Now E38 740 and E39 540 are the same engine. You don't have to switch anything out on them. They're direct bolt in. A lot of you guys, the X5s, you're not going to be able to find an X5 takeout engine very easily. And to be honest with you guys, you know, the other one had a valve to the piston, or we never would have changed it. I don't like swapping motors out. A lot of times when you do that, the one you put in the timing chain guides is no better than the one you took out. So a lot of times what will happen, most of the time what will happen, you'll go ahead and switch the whole engine out, pay a shop, what, $4,000 to do all that crap, plus the price of the engine. And a few months later, guess what? Timing chain guides are bad in that engine too. So that's something to be aware of. If you guys want to own these BMWs, the V8s, your best bet is to buy the timing tools, learn how to work on it yourself. If you catch it in time, guys, and you don't let the timing chain just eat itself up and eat through the casings, it starts making noise on cold start. If you go ahead and pull it apart, then all you have to do is take the valve covers off, take these upper timing chain covers off, and you don't have to pull the intake, you don't have to pull the water pump or nothing. That's all you have to do. And then to actually change the lower guide, you will have to pull the lower part off here, but that's not that difficult. Let me clarify that just a little bit. Just to retime the engine, you only got to take the valve covers and the top cases off. To actually replace the lower guide, which is the one that usually goes out, the big U-shaped guide, you got to pull the lower case. It's not that bad. While you're in there, like I said before, do the water pump. You know, it's pretty easy to get to. You should be able to have it apart in one evening, back together the next evening. In fact, I think I might name this video what to look for in buying an E53 X5, E39 540, E38 740. Because this problem, if you take it to a shop, that will send your car to the junkyard or on Craigslist for 500 bucks. And then people like me buy it. So beware of this problem before you can buy one of these cars. If you're not prepared to do this, you have one of these cars that's running, driving fine. You're not prepared to do this. You don't have $4,000 or whatever the hell they're charging these days to do this job. Sell it while it still runs. Run far, far away. If you're willing to do this, overall, this is a very good engine. They don't have a ton of transmission problems. You know, they're a pretty good car.